Hello and welcome back to the Still tutorial series where we are building agents with Camunda. Now, the idea here is we're starting with this agent, which the very first video will teach you how to build, and then I've added a bunch of extra features as we went along. Now, a very important one to add here relates to the one of the two most important aspects of the agent. One of the aspects being tool call, or the tools it calls. The second one being the LLM it uses. So the calling of the tools is already quite dynamic, right? Because the agent will call the tools it needs based on the input and the system prompt and stuff. And it's quite dynamic as to which ones it chooses to execute. But can we have sort of dynamicness within the LLM, specifically around choosing the LLM for the job? Well, the answer, of course, is yes. And one of the ways of doing it, there are multiple, is by using a DMN. So in this video, we are going to showcase how based on the input, the request that comes in, and using some of the data that comes in with that, we will get to choose the specific LLM that needs to run that. There could be lots of reasons for that. One of them could be that you don't want to have to pay for a very, very complicated LLM to run when the request is really simple, or maybe you want to limit the use of certain models to certain departments or certain people or whatever. Either way, this is a nice stepping stone to showing how broadly you can actually make that happen. So let's get started. Okay, so FYI, the full project is linked below on in a GitHub repo, so you can grab the stuff you need there, which is important because I'll focus in this video on the important new things, and there's some trivial stuff that I'm not going to talk about, but you can go ahead and check the repo for more details. So this project basically takes a question, it then uses an LLM to choose some tools to execute and answer that question, right? And depending on the input, the different LLM can be chosen. And in this particular case, I've sort of beefed up the start form a little bit to give me some more data. So you see here that we have a bunch of other information. We have kind of question, we have the role, we have the project they work on, and the question. The idea here is that we want to be able to determine the input and sort of make a decision about which LLM could be used. Now, there's a bunch of different reasons why you might want to choose a different LLM. It could be that you only want very, very high cost LLMs to use for complex problems. It could be that you limit certain LLMs to certain departments or people. Either way, you can use the input to dynamically select the LLM before the agent actually begins trying to process the task. The way we are going to do it here is with DMN, decision model notation. This is a built-in engine as part of Camunda for making decisions. It's also part of the open standards suite that include BPMN. And also, my favorite thing about it, it's a totally visual and directly executable decision modeling tool. One of the nice things, of course, is that you don't need to use it if you don't want to. If you already have a decision thing, you go ahead, you enjoy that and go to town, however way you want to do it. This is an example of how conceptually you might choose one of the options. So here we are, we have a business rules task, and we're going to say decide on LLM use, or just LLM. Okay, that's our decision. And now we're going to, implementation wise, we are going to use a decision table. Great. And now we need to create one. It's relatively easy. I'm going to click here and click on this. Lovely. Now there we have this. What we're looking at here is actually a DRD, or decision requirements diagram. This is where you can design how your decisions are work together to create a single output. So in this case, for instance, if we want an input, which we'll take here, this is an input. This will be the question type, which we get at the in the input. And the second part, I'm actually going to use another table for. So over here, I'm going to drag and drop another table. I'm going to make this a decision table. And this is going to be decide if power user. Now then we're going to use this decision to influence the final choice. This decision, of course, as well has its own inputs, which are going to be the role of the user and the project they're working on. You can imagine loads of different parameters being used to make this decision, and even getting them from better places than a self-reported form. But for now, you can accept this. So now we have a DRD, which shows the high level how the rules work. But now I'm going to go into one of the specific tables, which is this one, and actually build that. So let's zoom in a little bit. So here is our table. You can see here that we have our DRD on the right, so we have this. So I'm first going to add the first input. The first input is role. And the expression here is going to be the variable that we're actually going to be using. The variable is also called role. The variable is also a string that has some predefined values, and those are right in here. Those are developer, QA, and designer. Now, in cases where you don't have predefined values, that's fine, you leave that blank. But in my case, I do, so I'll put that there. So that is my first input. My second, of course, is my the project that we're working on. And once again, I'll just go here, put project. And this also has some predefined strings. And those two projects are Project X and Project Doom. Good projects both. Okay, and the final thing is we have the output is power user. So this is our Boolean value. This will be returned and then given to this thing here. And this is going to be a Boolean. There we go. So now we have our inputs and outputs. The next really important thing is actually up here. Is the HIP policy. This determines how frequently, how kind of rules they are. So unique means that only one rule is allowed to match, but first means the order is important. So it'll go through each rule one by one, and it'll then validate them in order of how they appear on the table. So here we're saying that if QA and developer are true, and also project X is the project, then we are saying absolutely this is a project, this is a power user, super duper. So developer and QA from this. Next thing we're going to say is if they are developer, and it doesn't matter what project they're on, because developers apparently are power users, we're going to leave this blank. Blank means match everything. This is also true. And then because it's a first HIP policy, it means it'll get down to the bottom, and if it runs through all the rules, I'm going to put a false. Great. So that's our first table. We have our power user. Now let's scoot over here. And we see here that we once again are going to set, this is our decide on LLM. This is going to be a little different because we got one input, which is question type. And question type has a variable. And question type, again, has some predefined values. I do have a video somewhere on DMN in more detail if you're interested. I'm going through this relatively quickly. So if you're interested in DMN stuff in particular, check that out. Cool. And then next we have our input from our power user. This is quite easy because this is just going to be the table's ID. So right now what I'll do is I'll just put in this expression. I'll need this later on, but just for now, I'll leave this right there. And this is a Boolean. Okay. And then finally, LLM string. And this is going to be LLM string. Cool. And this is not going to give us allowed values. So now we're going to decide on which LLM to use. So the first one we're going to say is, okay, because it's first HIP policy, as before, we're going to go through it one by one. So the top level is going to be the most restrictive. And that's going to be for questions that are hard or average. Also, if it's a power user. So they both have to be true. Then we're going to be using a specific LLM. We're going to be using Opus. So let's put that into the annotations. Why? Because in future this string might change, so it's good to have a human readable thing. That's our top level model. Then we're going to go to the next rule, which is going to be similar. It's also going to be, let's say, hard and average. This case, but it's not a power user. Then they are going to get a different model. They're going to get Sonnet. Still a good model, does the trick. And then finally, if we get down to the bottom, where it's an easy question, okay, that means, and it doesn't matter if they're a power user or not, for any easy question, we're getting access to Haiku. Okay, that's our table there. So it gets in the question from the user. It gets the result of this table. One more thing I have to do really quickly is I need to just go here and I need to edit this to give it this ID because that's the ID it uses. I don't like using the auto-generated ones. I prefer to do that. Okay, that is our table looking good. So now let's head back to the model. Okay. So there we go. We need a result variable. So the result variable is going to be called LLM string. And then this gets used when I go here. Now, hopefully folks have seen this before. This is the configuration for the LLM. There's the model, which is LLM string. Usually that's a static value, but now it's going to be the result of this DMN table. So let's run it and see if it works. Now this has a bunch of different components, so I'm going to just swing back to the application page and just deploy everything from here. So it'll deploy hopefully everything that we need. I'm going to go back into the model to start the instance. So that means that the DMN table is already deployed. Don't worry, you can still deploy it without the DMN table. It'll just throw an error. If it does, you can just deploy the DMN table and then rerun the process. It's the end of the world. I'm going to click deploy and run. I'm then going to try and trigger the easiest model, right? So the haiku. So stock levels are the choice, designer, project doom, and what iPhones do you have in stock? Let's deploy and run. Great. And now I'm going to check that out. So we're here. It's already run the DMN table. It was very quick. Now the agent has triggered. Let's hope the agent doesn't break or something weird like that, but it looks like it's going okay. Yes, it has triggered this and it's going to give us an answer. So then what I want to do is I want to just quickly check, well, why did it make that decision? So we can go into the DMN table. This is the reason why I really like using DMN, because we can go in and we can see exactly what happened. So first of all, we see, okay, they're not a power user. Let's go over here. We see that they're not a developer or QA. And it looks like they're not a power user. Great. So it came over here. You see power users false, and the question was easy, and therefore just that's super duper. So that works great. To get the to get Opus to trigger, we would need to be a developer or QA. We need to be in Project X or just a developer. And then we'd also need a hard or average question. So let's try and see if we can do that. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to question about stock details and comparisons. And also I'm a developer. And my question is, what of the phones available are the best for someone who likes to code while on a train? Okay, so let's see what happens. Very complicated question. We clearly need a very powerful model for this. And let's see if our DMN table obliges. There we are. That was very quick. Now you can actually see down here the string says, if I expand that a bit, we see Opus 46, which is the correct model. That's the one it's actually using. Great. And it's a lot faster, which is nice. And then we can go in here and take a look at the DMN table in this case. And we can already see that, yes, they were a power user. We can see here that the question was hard or average and they're a power user. So we used Opus. So the thing worked. Let's go back to our process. And we can quickly see now maybe the two questions that we asked. So the first one is here. This is the what iPhones are in stock. Great stuff. And the second one is more complex. And as you can see, we get a lot more complicated an answer there. But before I say goodbye to you, I want to show you one more thing. That I like a lot, which is when you actually do it this way, you have the ability to really easily maintain your LLM decisions because they're no longer in the hands of the model actually. So if you wanted to change any of the decision making, you just need to go in here. This is the only file that matters, and any file that's using this would be updated. So for instance, if I go in here and I decide, you know what, I want to upgrade my version of Claude, or let's say for instance, I no longer want to use Opus because it's too expensive or whatever, then you can just manipulate the information here, deploy it, and it immediately takes effect for all of the new incoming requests. So let's check that out. So this is, let's say we've decided to remove Opus. Let's deploy just this process. So just this DMN table. Great. And now we're going to go back to our process, and we're going to start it. And then we're going to put in basically the same parameters as before. And deploy and run. And I'm going to go here. I'm a developer. I'm Project Doom. And I'm going to say, what iPhones do you have in stock? Also, should what laptops do you have? So let's deploy and run this. Because people are overusing Opus, let's say, this is a nice little example of how you can just really quickly flip a switch and then control when a model is being activated or not. As you can see down here, we chose Sonnet 4.6. So yeah, there we go. A very, very easy way to both maintain and to implement dynamic model choosing depending on the input that you are given. Enjoy, and don't forget to use the repo below if you want to get this working yourself. Cheerio, bye.